Some say you have to be the first to be the best. And Ford seems to have taken it very seriously, especially in case of the EcoSport. I mean, this is the car which literally invented the compact SUV segment, and you know what happened since then, right? Ford has managed to sell lakhs and lakhs of units of the EcoSport in the global market, this being a global product. Today I have with me the latest BS6 version of the EcoSport with me. So, hey guys, what's up? I'm Srinikeet. You're watching my YouTube channel Sri Productions, and today let's check out the all-new 2020 BS6 Ford EcoSport Diesel. Let's get started. Design of the EcoSport has been largely unchanged since its launch in 2013. It looks like a compact crossover in pictures, but in person it looks much bigger with unique dimensions. The proportions of this SUV are something really unique, as it does not look like a typical squared off crossover. The windshield is steeply rigged, the overall design is curvy and different. It has a decent amount of plastic cladding all around, but no fog skid plate up front. A black dot roof is standard in high variants. The roof rails look minimalistic. The rear looks unique as it does not get any LED lighting, although an iconic feature of the EcoSport is the side opening tailgate and also the boot mounted alloy spare wheel. In all, the EcoSport still looks unique despite its age, especially due to the fact that its competitors all look the same with their boxy design. Talking about the interior of the EcoSport, the ingress and egress is quite easy. Although the front seats are a bit on the taller side, and you do not get that nice reassuring thud sound from the door when you shut it. Talking about the seats, the seating position is nice and high, although you do get height adjustability for the driver's seat, manually of course. The seats are quite supportive. The under thigh support is very slightly lacking, but the bolstering on it is quite aggressive and it just hugs you quite nicely, so that gives it a nice comfortable feeling, and it's very supportive if you're doing some spirited driving. You get on the top trim, you get leather upholstery with cloth inserts in the middle and this nice brown stitching on it. Talking about the steering wheel, you get this nice leather wrapped unit. It is not a flat bottom unit, and you get brown stitching on the inside of it. The design is quite similar to some other Fords, but you get a lot of toggle switches to control all the displays and all the cruise control mainly. Talking about the central console, you get this 8-inch touchscreen infotainment display with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard, and a reverse parking camera with adaptive guidelines. Below that is an air conditioning vent. The positioning of it has been moved down after the facelift of the EcoSport a few years ago. The design of the vent is quite nice. It's an hexagonal unit, and the design has been inspired from a Lamborghini Huracan, I guess. Below that is the auto climate control unit, and below that is the traction control button, and next to it are two charging sockets, regular USB sockets. Next to it is this 5-speed gear knob, and next to it is a 12-volt charging socket. Now this area has been separated by this nice brown trim, and next to it is the bottom part of the central console. And here you get two bottle holders, but they are not too big. They are for putting small cup of small drinks, I guess. And next to it is a small cubby hole to keep your key. And also the EcoSport does get passive entry and also push button start. Now you had a small cubby hole to keep your key there, but it's not as big as the key, so I don't know why they have designed it that way. Now between the front seats is a nice handrest with a soft leather upholstery on top, but below that is a cubby hole which is very deep, but it is not that big, so I don't know what you'll keep. A knife for self-defense, I guess. Talking about the gauge cluster, you get this nice analog tachometer on the left and an analog speedometer on the right, and below you get the engine temperature meter and the fuel gauge, which is again analog, which is a nice touch. And then you get a small MID display which displays a lot of trip related information, which is a nice touch. And on left of it, between the infotainment display and the gauge cluster, is the engine start stop button. It has been placed very conveniently in order for you to reach out quite easily to start the vehicle, of course. Then again, the dashboard is this nice sloped unit, and it reaches quite a far ahead of you, and that's because the windshield on the EcoSport is quite heavily raked. On the roof you get a sunglass holder, which is a nice touch. Next to it is a central dome light, and you do get two additional map lights as well. And then there is a small microphone for the voice assistant. Then you get two sunshades, no card holder on the driver's side, but you do get a vanity mirror on the left with a lamp, which is again a nice feature. You do get a sunroof, which is a bit on a smaller side,
and a manual sunshade with it.
the glove box. It's not as big as some of its competition, but it gets a small cubby hole to keep your important documents, so that's a nice feature to separate your other stuff from your important documents. And in front of the passenger seat as well, you get a small cubby hole to keep some small stuff like a pen or something.
In terms of safety features, you get 6 airbags, traction control, hill hold assist, electronic stability control and a rear view camera with adaptive guidelines, while 2 airbags, ABS and EBD are standard across lower variants. Ford has their own infotainment system called the Sync 3, which houses emergency assistance, which means that in the event of a crash, the vehicle automatically contacts nearby emergency services and 2 of your saved contacts. It also has the Ford My Key feature, in which different keys of the same car can set different top speed limits. In all, a comprehensive list of safety features on the new EcoSport.
Okay, so talking about the door cards, the door card design is a bit on the complex side, but you do get leather upholstery on the armrest and your small tweeter on top next to the door switch, and the lock and unlock switch is electronic, which is a nice addition again. You get a speaker grill down there, and next to it is a 1 liter bottle holder, but it is not too deep, it's a bit on the shallow side. Okay, so let's hop into the back seat of the EcoSport to find out how it is. Now the ingress and egress on the rear seats as well is quite easy. Although the door does not open that wide, as you can see, and you still don't get that nice thud sound as some of its competitors. But let me tell you, the rear seats are very comfortable of these EcoSport, because the under thigh support is more than adequate. It's really good actually. The backrest is not too steep, but it's comfortably placed, and you do get a central armrest with 2 bottle holders. And also the headrests are manually adjustable. You do not get a 12 volt charging socket on the central console, but you do get individual 12 volt charging sockets on either side of the rear seat, which is a nice addition. The front seats are nicely scooped out and do get magazine holders. Leather upholstery is available here as well, with some nice brown stitching and cloth inserts. The headroom is adequate, I would say, but because of this sunroof, it does intrude a bit into the headroom of the rear passengers. Now I expect a little bit more headroom, because don't forget, this is quite a tall SUV, right? The door cards again are the design is a bit complex, but you do get brown trim on the door cards, and here the leather inserts are also present on the handrests. Below that is a speaker grill and a small 1 liter bottle holder, although it does intrude into the seat, so putting a 1 liter bottle there could be a bit challenging. Overall, the rear seats are very comfortable on the EcoSport, and long journeys won't be too problematic. Now the boot lid of the EcoSport is quite unique to other compact SUVs. It opens sideways just like some old school SUVs. Although opening it is quite easy, but closing it can be a task because of the weight of the spare wheel, and also because if you're parked on an incline, it will be quite difficult to close it. Talking about the boot space, it's 352 liters. The loading lip isn't too high, and the loading lip is on the same level as that of the boot floor. You get this nice separator down here, although you do not get the spare wheel below the boot floor, because of course it's mounted on the rear boot lid. So it's quite a generous boot, enough for your weekend outings. You do get a defogger at the back and a washer as well. Alright, driving the 1.5 TDCi EcoSport. Of course you get push button start. Okay, so initial impressions are that the engine has great bottom and torque. To get it off the line, you don't need to apply much throttle. Just play the clutch a little bit and gets off the line, which will be great for bumper to bumper traffic. The clutch is on the lightest side. Engine braking as well, it's quite strong. Of course, it being a manual diesel. Okay, so pulling it. Yes, once the rev needle crosses 2,500 RPM, that turbo whistle kicks in, and that sounds really sweet. It pulls very cleanly about 2,500 RPM to about 4,000 RPM. After 3,500 RPM, the turbo clatter and the vibes do kick in. Just suggests you to upshift as quickly as possible. Okay, so the steering. Now let me tell you, at really low speeds in a parking lot, you'll feel that the steering isn't connected to the front wheels at all. It's that light. But once you get it past around 30-40 kilometers an hour, it gets very direct. And doing a quick overtake for the first time, it might frighten you as well, because it's just literally very quick, very instant, and that makes it very enjoyable because a lot of feel and feedback is present on this one, which is generally not the case in this compact SUV segment. Although there's a little bit of off-center vagueness to it, you can definitely feel a little bit of play in the steering wheel off-center. Now, despite the EcoSport being a tall and pretty high ground clearance compact SUV, the body roll on this one is not much. It stays relatively flat through corners. Again, adds to the high-speed stability. I haven't tested it on highways, but from past experiences of previous owners, I've heard that it remains very stable on highways as well. Talking about the gear shifts, the gearbox is not as precise as, let's say, a Maruti, but again, the throws are quite short and it never misses a gear. It's quite accurate. Now the brakes. Now I feel that the brakes on this one lack that initial bite, and it does not have the amount of feel that you expect from the pedal. Now you need to press the pedal a bit hard than usual in order to stop it effectively. Visibility around the cabin is really nice. The A-pillar though is quite thick, I would say. Okay, so in conclusion, the EcoSport is a lot of fun for what is a compact, tall-bodied SUV. The steering feel, the overall dynamics of it, the engine especially is very impressive on this one. So the question is the 2020 EcoSport still worth buying over its relatively near competition? I mean, the sort of equipment, the fit and finish and the build quality, and the ride and dynamics, and especially the power from the 1.5 that this car as an overall package delivers, you know I'm going right. I'm more than impressed. And the fact that it has been priced on par with the competition, I mean mostly, the answer is obviously yes. The EcoSport is still worth buying over its competition. So that's pretty much it from my side. Special thanks to Ratnaprabha Ford for providing me the EcoSport BS6 for review. If you want to contact them for bookings and test drive, the details are in the description down below. Thanks for watching.